Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Today is November 8th, 2019. It's Friday. TGIF, guys. Anyway, let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here. Now, here's what I want to talk about. This is Deutsche Bank, and this is the last 6 months. And we see they've been going along sideways. Something's happening in the financial system right now. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but we see this repo madness, And now, all of a sudden, we've seen massive moves in cryptocurrency and gold and silver to the downside. Selling pressure, and we see the dollar going up. Capital is, I'm not going to call it capital flight, because capital flight is a term for when money comes out of a country, capital flight. But this is like capital flight within the financial sector, moving around very quickly. Something's going on behind the scenes. Something really big. Haven't quite put my finger on it yet, but I suspect Deutsche Bank's derivatives book could be maybe one of the problems. There might be more problems than that. But I think that Deutsche Bank has been in a slow decline, has been in a slow collapse for a very long time now. It's like, and at what point does it start to actually roll over? And could they actually be suppressing news of what's really going on with Deutsche Bank? Maybe their derivatives book or whatever. Could they be suppressing news of that for fear that it could cause a panic within the financial system? But maybe it's happening right now, and maybe it is causing a panic, but behind the scenes where we can't see it. This is what I'm wondering, And, of course, I guess I'm not going to know for sure because they're hiding whatever's going on. But we can see movement of capital within the system, and I think this is what's being reflected in the gold and silver and crypto price. I think is this movement of capital behind the scenes, could be what's causing some of these things, So in other words, we're seeing the symptoms. It's like a person, that's sick, and they show up with a rash, but underlying they have some sort of a disease that's causing the rash, and this is the way it is right now within the financial system. There's something going on big, in other words, is what I'm saying. I just can't quite put my finger on it yet. I'm out there, and I'm looking. I'm going to try to find it for you guys, exactly what's going on, but I don't know what it is just yet. Let's turn over to the silver price now. Take a look, and we can see the smash down continues. I'm going to tell you, she's tipping down right now. And I think at this point in the short term, I think it's become oversold, in the short term. But, I mean, we're living in an awful unstable environment within this financial system. So, right now, we're looking at the sad news of well down below $16, and the market is breaking down. Let's take a look at gold. Gold $14.59 is down $8.90 on the day so far. When we get big movements in gold and silver, this is when more selling starts to occur. Buying and selling. In other words, things pick up. In other words, for silver dealers and stuff, when the price gets smashed down like this is when oftentimes their inventory will start to move off the shelf. We can't afford that with silver. Silver market would be an awful easy market to break, and the reason why is because miners have to have a certain cut, in order to keep their mines up and running. And at the same time, they've went through many, many years now of suppressed price in silver. And so mines already have been trimmed back. In other words, it's like if you're a miner, you might close one whole section of the mine. And the reason why you close that section of the mine is because the price of silver is so low, it becomes unprofitable. Now, a lot of these miners, in silver and gold, they also mine other metals, and silver is a byproduct. In other words, they might be mining copper and zinc, and silver's a byproduct, you know. In that case, they rely more upon the construction industry and different industries that use copper, and then they get their silver as a byproduct. Anyway, let's move on right here and take a look at cryptocurrency today. And this market is crashing right now while we speak. Cryptocurrency is crashing. 239.8 billion. Let me refresh the page. 238.9. So just lost $1 billion just since I last refreshed the page, and it's actually it's crashing right now in price. We're looking at a price of Bitcoin at what was that 88.38 and dropping. It's dropped 4.42% on the day so far. So cryptocurrency's not looking good today. Let's take a look at the Dow today and see what's going on. The Dow's not going anywhere today. It's staying right on the line. It's up a half a percentage point and nothing. 27,675 right now, and it's just going sideways right now. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil price is dropping. It's dropped 1.57% on the day so far. $56.25 for sweet light crude. U.S. Treasuries. Now we're looking at the long end of the yield curve falling, but it looks like it's turning right now. It looks like the whole yield curve is going to start falling later today. Maybe within another hour, we're probably going to see the whole yield curve falling yields on the whole yield curve because it's been moving that direction this morning. So bonds right now are having generally what they do is this is what they've been doing, a pattern they've been having over the past little while is one day you'll see yields fall, but insignificantly, maybe 2 basis points on the long end of the yield curve. And then the very next day, yields rise, but they'll rise quite significantly, 7, 8 basis points, you know. And so the overall trend has been where bond yields have been actually rising, especially on the long end of the yield curve. How much longer will we see that trend continue, and could it actually explode? Could we get an explosive rise in bond yields on the long end of the yield curve? You know, because if the 10-year passes 3.25%, and I've made that mark for a long time now, I see us getting a market crash. You know, and so it's worth keeping an eye on that very carefully, and that's what I'm doing. Let's take a look at the dollar. Well, they're running into the dollar quite extensively. Looks like things are setting up for possibly a deflationary event in the very near future, and the Federal Reserve has been trying to. They have a mandate for 2% inflation. They will not allow deflation to continue. So if we get a deflationary event, there will be a massive reaction to it. And that reaction will swing things around. It's just that there's a little bit of a delay there. So deflation can occur really quickly. And this is what happened in 2008. I mean, you heard them telling you there. They were saying, if we hadn't reacted within 2 hours, the whole system would have melted down, so on. But when they're talking about 2008. A deflation can occur really quickly. It takes time to inject the money into the system to slow down deflation and stop it and turn things in the opposite direction toward inflation. So deflation is quicker. It can happen quicker than inflation. Inflation takes time to absorb the money into the system and stuff. It's like medication, you know. If you take medication, sometimes it doesn't instantaneously work. Say you got an infection or something, you know. An infection can come on you suddenly. You run into the doctor. You take the antibiotics. Sometimes it takes a couple days for them to start to work. And this is the same way within the financial sector between deflation and inflation. Deflation is fast. It can come in, and with the new computerized system we have now, the way money can move around within the system in a matter of hours, deflation can come in so fast You just have some bank go down or something within the system, and the next thing you know, so like say Deutsche Bank, and then the next thing you know, you get deflation. It takes a little while for the medicine to work with the central banks. They'll react, and then it takes a little while through their bureaucracy. They react, and then they have to pump all the money in, and then it takes a little while. But the ultimate end result is they are not going to allow deflation to last any extended period. They're going to fix it, and they're going to fix it with printing. It's just, that's the way it works. Okay, so we see Deutsche Bank. Now, the Fed is warning here. The Fed is warning about climate change. Climate change is a hot topic right now. And there's people out there that deny climate change. This planet, the ecosystem of this planet, we've been through ice ages. We've been through periods of warming of the planet. The planet warms and cools on cycles. And so anybody that says climate change isn't real, of course, just look at winter. Winter is a change in our climate, for crying out loud. I mean, how can you deny something as obvious as that? It's right in your face. You can't deny that the planet remains absolutely static and it never changes. The planet's constantly in a state of change, from hot to warm and from warm to hot. For crying out loud, here where I live right here, it can be freezing cold. You put your heater on, and then a hot spell can come in within a half an hour, and you're sweating, and it's just the climate here. It's bizarre. Every storm comes right up over, because the jet stream is right over my head, and the storms follow the jet stream, and every storm comes over here in the wintertime. We get a storm every 2 days, storm after storm after storm after storm, constantly blowing. New England, they call them nor'easters, by the way. Anyway, listen, thank you guys for listening to this report. And yes, climate change is real. I mean, I never heard such a ridiculous debate in all my life. Bye-bye, guys. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see you guys. I'll do a show this weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday. Bye-bye, guys.